Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 99 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. I am Bill Pivot. So this week's episode was taped before TakeOver San Antonio, but obviously the way that it all works, they air it the week after, package in a bunch of highlight videos from the event, and then have a few matches before. The show kicked off with highlights of TakeOver, obviously, and this is Corey Graves' last NXT show. They taped it obviously before TakeOver, so next week with the new tapings, you're going to have Nigel McGuinness on with Tom Phillips and Percy Watson. The show started with Ember Moon versus Aaliyah. Ember Moon put together some nice string of moves, which ended in a modified abdominal stretch. Aaliyah broke out, landed some uppercuts. She hit what looked like a haluva kick in the corner. Ember came back with a jumping moonsault from the second rope, and a few moments later, she clotheslined Aaliyah and hit the Eclipse to get the win. The crowd was behind Ember for a little bit, but it was just pretty quiet throughout the match. They got excited for some of the high spots, but they really didn't seem too invested in the match. But Ember Moon's build continues as we get closer to the next TakeOver special in Orlando. We then got highlights of the Ty Dillinger-Eric Young match. Sanity was then shown outside as Eric Young cut a promo on Dillinger. They then showed Ty Dillinger's appearance in the Royal Rumble, and as scripted as it was, as cliched as it is, it was a very cool moment. The Alamo Dome was chanting 10. They were hoping for it. They got it. Crowd was on their feet. Pretty cool moment. They then transitioned into the women's match. Asuka was interviewed after the match. She said it was tough, and then she dismissed Ember Moon's challenge, claiming that she's next for the title. A little while later, Ember Moon was interviewed and was informed of Asuka's comments. She said she's happy that Asuka retained. After their war, Asuka will remember who Ember Moon is. Second match was the UK Champion Tyler Bate against only Lorcan. It's bad enough WWE has a problem keeping their roster separated on their own brands, Raw and SmackDown. Now they can't even keep the UK Champion in UK. Not a kid, but it's cool seeing him in NXT. Bate did this weird hand wave that the crowd was obviously catching on to. They were doing it right back at him. Very simple, but he's got the crowd in the palm of their hands. And the match actually featured some of the most basic wrestling attires. Only Lorcan has obviously the black tights. Bate had navy blue, I think with some red in his boots. Just very plain looking. They did a test of strength early. They traded some stiff jabs back and forth. Lorcan then pummeled Bate in the corner. Bate made his comeback, connecting with an uppercut off the second rope. He then hit an airplane spin, stopped, spun him again, and then slammed him down. Lorcan connected with a running uppercut off the ropes. Bate bounced back and landed a rolling wheel kick and won with the Tyler Driver 97. Fun match, very quick, but hard-hitting as well. There were some definite welts developing on Bate's chest. Crowd was already behind him, though. I think we either need to see these UK guys on NXT more consistently or wait for this UK show to develop. Having these sporadic appearances are going to make him look like jobbers. Even though he's got the title, if they're not consistently featured, it's going to be who cares? Roderick Strong then talked about his win and that it's Roddy versus the world, and his TakeOver match was just a taste of what's to come. They then transferred on to highlights of the NXT Tag Title match. Aldous Payne were interviewed, more like Paul Ellering actually. He said the tag team landscape has changed and they're showing no mercy. We then got highlights of the NXT title match and the aftermath of Shinsuke Nakamura being carried out to the back. Cassius Ohno was randomly there and patted Nakamura on the back, saying not this way. At first I thought the injury was a work, but it looks like it's for real now considering that he needed help getting to the back, which makes the title change to Bobby Roode make a little more sense. I'm still confused on who Bobby Roode's next challenger is going to be. They haven't really developed a number 2 babyface on the roster to fill in for Nakamura. Speaking of Roode, he was asked if the results would be different if Nakamura didn't injure himself. Bobby Roode was very offended by this, and he kind of berated the interviewer. He said that he did what he said he was going to do the whole time. This is the start of Bobby Roode's era in NXT, and his NXT will be, obviously, glorious. We then got word that there will be a glorious celebration at Full Sail next week. Tom Phillips then mentioned that this will be Corey Graves' last NXT, and he'll be moving on to Raw. They then showed a nice video package for him, starting from his beginning, when it was actually FCW. And I actually like Corey Graves' character in NXT. Kind of like Baron Corbin, but more punk rockish, that whole scene. But they showed the transition of his character winning the NXT tag titles. They didn't show the turn on Adrian Neville, but they then showed him talk about his retirement on one of the NXT TakeOver pre-shows and how he quickly developed into a great commentator, one of the best. His calls Obviously, the Kinshasa, he goes a little over the top. That's what makes him one of the best right now. NXT is going to miss him, and he said he's going to miss NXT, so wish you luck, Corey Graves. Third and final match was No Way Jose versus Elias Sampson. Corey Graves was pissed that his last night in NXT will be spent calling a Samson match, but then he remembered that he'll never have to call another Samson match again, but Phillips teased that he may be called up, and Graves quickly shut that down. At the opening bell, Samson connected with a dropkick. Jose shook it off, and there was a little bit of miscommunication early, and then Joe just ended up body slamming him. He then hit a rolling senton. Samson rolled out to the outside, but he received the baseball slide as they went to their first commercial break. Back from that, Samson crouched Jose on the top rope. He then beat him down in the corner with a running knee strike across the apron. There were a group of people that actually tried starting a Let's Go Samson chant. It didn't get off the ground. Graves was hilarious as he called Samson a fake by flying into San Antonio instead of drifting. He was on top of his game for his last night. Great stuff. Jose then escaped a headlock with a sidewalk slam. He landed a hip toss into his neck breaker and then won with the pop-up punch. After the match, Phillips asked if Graves had any departing words for Samson, and he simply said, nope. And that's how they ended it. And for this match, I really hope it's the last time we see these two. They didn't really work well together. A little clunky at the beginning, and then a little boring in the middle before Jose made his comeback. And of the three matches, it was honestly the worst one. I don't know. It was just really nothing to get invested in. Jose still building him up to maybe an upper mid card. Samson, crowd still hates him, so it was kind of a throwaway match. As for the show, if you did watch TakeOver, you could have probably fast-forwarded through about 90% of the show. Really nothing too important happened. It was more of the after effects of TakeOver than what happened in the ring. We do have the seeds planted for the long-awaited Ember Moon Asuka feud, and then we're back at full sail, starting with a celebration for Bobby Roode. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week with episode 100. Until then, follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports. And please like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff on the show on YouTube. Until then, peace.